So today what I want to talk to you about, we're in the early pre-spawn time. We've had a lot of really warm, freakishly warm weather for early February into January. Today is February 12th and we are catching fish super shallow. So what I want to talk to you guys about is how to break down an area and find the right areas to fish in early pre-spawn on a warming trend that will produce some really big bites. To set the situation up for you, what we're talking about is when you've had a lot of really warm weather in the wintertime and that water temperature is warming up, you don't just go to your normal places that you would think. They're not going to necessarily just stage on a point. These fish will get really shallow. The reason that is because the more shallow water you have, the bigger expanse of shallow water that you have, it will warm up that much faster than something that has deeper water close by. Because there's more water volume in the deeper water, it takes longer for that to warm up than it does the really skinny stuff. So that's what we're looking for. The first way that you can tell is when just generally looking at a map. If it's a lake you don't know that well, one you haven't been to before, you can pull it up on Google Earth, or you can just look at a map. And the coves and bays and spawning pockets, the backs of the creek arms that are wider, will generally have a flatter area in them. The ones that are narrower tend to have a steeper sloping bank on them. What you want to look for is, when you're looking at the map, it's just a big wide area towards the back of a creek, or maybe it's a main lake pocket, but if it's a wide flat cove that at the back of it it's very wide, that's the kind of area that you want to look for. That's your first clue. That's not always a 100% accurate deal, but that's a good way to get you started. The second thing is grass. If you know a lake has grass, like Fork has some grass, there's not grass everywhere. There's not a lot of it. It doesn't grow very deep right now. That's just the way things have worked out the last few years. But if you know the areas of the lake, like on Fork right now, the northern ends of both arms have grass in them. And some of the major creek arms have grass towards the back of those. So if you know those areas have grass, that is going to help this deal. That is going to draw even more fish into it. That also helps warm the water up. That grass absorbs some heat and gives them some warmth, even on the cold days when it's not on a warming trend. So grass is a big plus. A must-have. If you're in a lake that has grass, you must be around it for this pattern to work. Another thing that not a lot of people think about when it comes to this is bait presence. Typically that bait is going to travel to the same warming areas that the bass are, because they're looking for the same thing. It's just a comfort thing for them. They're looking for the warmest water possible, after being in that cold water throughout the winter. So typically the bait will be there, but there are times when you pull back there where you think there might be some fish pulling up and you won't see any bait. They have to have bait, guys. If they're pulling back into a warming area, even if the water temps are really warm, if there's no bait around them, they can't survive. So they will always be signs of bait, especially when you're fishing as shallow as what we're talking about. It will be very obvious. You'll be able to see the bait. So now, here we are. I'm going to show you guys something on the map. So here's a cove right here, and this is just the main lake arm right here, but as you zoom in, you'll see that this flat gets, oops, it's not zooming in. You'll see how flat it gets and how far back. See, once you get into this green on my graph, on my map, once you get into that green, you are less than 6 foot of water at full pull. Plus, we're down about 2 foot right now. So once I get into green, I'm in less than 4 foot of water. So as you guys can see, that's a long area all the way back in here. From here all the way back to here where I can fish, that is less than 4 foot of water. And as you get back in here, it gets really shallow and it's like a 1 foot flat. And that is literally how shallow we're talking about. We're talking about a foot of water will hold giant fish. And I'm going to show you guys some fish catches at the end of this. And there's fish up to 9 pounds that we've caught within the last couple weeks that are in a foot of water. Every one of them is in a foot of water where we're catching them. Most people will underestimate how shallow these really big fish will get. So that's a good example of it on the map. Let's see if we can't find another one. And here's another example of it, guys. This is a good way for you to find it from a long ways out. You can see up here how tight the contour lines are. And then as you move towards the back of this bay here, you can see how those contour lines really spread out. Well, that's going to give you an indication of a gradual, slow sloping area. And then as you look in on the Google images that I have on this map here, you can see just how shallow that big area is back there. And that is a really, really large area. That is several acres, probably 10, 15, maybe 20 acres of water right in that area, maybe more than that. That's a huge area back there with a giant flat and one creek running right through it. That is an ideal setup for what we're talking about. Also, the northwest corner. The northwest corner always gets the warmest, the fastest, if it has the same water. The reason that is because it's the first area that the sun hits in the morning, so it gets the most sunlight throughout the day. So if you can find that really flat water in the northwest corner of a bay or a creek arm, that's going to be your best bet to find the warmest water you can. All right, here is another area that we have really been catching a lot of fish in and fishing a bunch. And here it is coming in from the main lake out here. And as you get to the very back of it, of course, like I said, my Google images looks completely different than most maps. But right here's the shoreline, and there's not another shoreline until way over here. There's a couple little islands out there. So you guys can see how flat that is. And it, you know, way back in there, you can see my trail right there from where we've been fishing. It is absolutely dirt shallow. The reason that trail is only in the creek is because it's so shallow that I can't even get my boat out on these flats over here. So don't be scared to go way more shallow than you would ever think to go. It's incredible how skinny of water these fish will get in on these warming trends. And like I said, you guys will see some at the end of the video. Saw a couple beforehand. There's some really big fish in this dirt shallow water. It's a little different episode. This is not really a technique driven episode, although I will tell you some great techniques for fishing this kind of trend or pattern. Our best bait lately has been a white chatterbait, 3/8 ounce. That helps us keep it up in that shallow water. And white has been the color of choice. Black and blue has been catching some fish for some other guys as well. Green pumpkin is always a good color on chatterbait. You guys, if you haven't seen the chatterbait video that I did, go check that one out. It breaks down all the different colors I use and how I go about retrieving it and using that bait. But that's been our best fish catcher here lately. Also, the 6th Sense Movement 80X. It's about a 2-foot diving crankbait. It has an extremely hard wobble and thump. That bait is extremely well suited for this type of fishing as well. Has great deflecting qualities off of wood, triggers a lot of bites from these pre-spawn fish. The rattle trap is good. I prefer in this situation, you're going to have to go to a 1/4 ounce because again, the water is so shallow. You go to throw in that bigger trap, you just have to run it so fast across there, I feel like it costs you some bites. The other big thing too that most people don't think about, when this water is warming, and it's on a warming trend, okay, so if it's gone from 50 to 60 degrees, well at 60 degrees, we're in weightless plastic territory, okay? Once we get over 55, I am not scared to throw some weightless plastics on a regular basis. A weightless fluke, a weightless stick bait like the Smash Tech Smash Stick, or a trick worm, a wacky rig worm of some kind, you know, whichever one you prefer, all those weightless plastics can work very, very well in this super shallow water when this deal is going on as well. You know, on a windy day, I'm going to stick to my moving baits like my chatterbaits and my crankbaits and stuff like that. Spinnerbait is another one. I like a big spinnerbait with a big blade that helps it ride high in the water column. That is a really good bait in this situation as well. But on those calm days, a lot of times it's going to be hard to find a bite on some of those moving baits. That's when the stick baits and the flukes and the wacky worms all come into play. So hope that helps you guys find some fish that actually not a lot of people really fish for. Not a lot of people will go as far back in these pockets and get in as shallow water as you need to get. And guys, we are talking about jacking the trolling motor high up as you can get it and kicking up mud with it even then. It is so shallow you wouldn't believe it. So next time you're out, it's been a good warming trend. The back of the pockets are warmer than the mouth. Get back there as far as you possibly can. Hunker down, spend some time. See if that doesn't help you get some surprisingly big fish in surprisingly shallow water. We hope y'all enjoyed this. If you like this video, be sure and hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel. We got some competition stuff. We have a tremendous episode that just came out this week where me and a couple of my good friends, dear friends of mine, went out and competed for a day fishing this exact pattern, and we caught some monster fish. So be sure you check that out as well. Once again, thanks for watching Your Lake Fort Guide, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, giant fish. Oh, God. Oh, tell me you got it. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Dude, look, he's got it.
Oh, my God. Yes, here we go.
Ah, here we go. So, good fish, man. We got a pretty good bag right now. That's the deal, man. Hell yeah, baby. Prespawn chatterbaiter. Good job, brother. Get that one up there on the tip. Let it cool. Hold it high now. There you go. On the white chatterbaiter. Oh, I missed him. There he is. Woo! Look at that. Lake Fork Prespawn. Whether y'all come with me, whether y'all book a trip with me or not, watch these videos, learn from them, and get on Lake Fork. All right, buddy. You ready to let her go? There you go. Oh, it's got it, dude. Oh my God, let me zip up. Yes! Oh, that is a freaking hoss. What is that thing right there? Well, I would say we started the day off right. What about it, Dylan? That is an absolute giant 9.5 pound monster right there. My goodness. I'm so blessed to do this job and so blessed to be able to fish this lake because, I mean, where else are you going to catch that? Get you some, boys. Y'all give me a call. We'll come chase them this spring.